friends, to the show that never ends, and we've got a few things to discuss today. One of the things Kieran's not at all interested in, well, in fact, more than just one thing Kieran's not at all interested in, like the lights in the background there, Kieran, for a bit of effect.
Thank you, mate.
Colour there on a regular basis.
It's going to really annoy people, isn't it? It's probably going to annoy you, actually.
No, it won't annoy me. And the other piece of thing I need to mention, I see you got your little goggle thingy at the end there.
Yeah, I do this week. Yeah, I bought some off of Amazon.
Excellent. Nice to know that the money we give you is going to a good cause.
Look, I had to buy a pack of 20 as well, but they're only £2, so that should last me a lifetime.
A pack of 20.
They wouldn't do. They wouldn't do one, obviously, because it's just a little bit of fluff.
No, of course not, because you'll need 20, I'm sure. Okay, well, Wycombe Wanderers Plus. We'll come to the plus bit in just one moment, but first of all, after last week's chat about referees, I thought we'd just sort of have a quickie look at a few comments and a few things made about referees. I love this one. This was Aston Villa manager John Gregory back in October 99. His comment was, I'm a bit ropey, you wouldn't get away with this in front of a TV screen now. Referees should be wired up to a couple of electrodes and they should be allowed to make 3 mistakes before you run 50,000 volts through their genitals.
You probably could get away with saying that. It's not that bad.
No. Well, unless we wired you up and see whether you like it or not.
If the FA go up to him and be like, "Oh, we're fining you for comments you made about referees," it's not like they're actually going to do it. I don't know.
I suppose it had to happen sometime. A referee scoring a winning goal. On Saturday, November the 9th in 1968, Barrow entertained Plymouth Argyle. Yes, the 2 FA Cup winners, in fact. Barrow entertained Plymouth Argyle in a 3rd Division match at Holker Street. Ref Ivan Robinson tried to jump out of the way of a Barrow cross, but the ball hit his heel and deflected past Plymouth keeper Pat June into the net. He had to signal a goal, and it was the only goal of the match. Bit awkward there, wasn't it?
Bit awkward, but it's definitely something to tell the grandkids, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I was a referee, but I still scores.
The winner for Barrow. Not many people, I bet, can claim they scored the winner for Barrow.
The winner for Barrow.
Winner for Barrow. Back in 1996, the menfolk of the Exeter Sunday League were a tad surprised when a referee joined the after-match showers with them. The ref's name was Janet. None too pleased with the situation were the local wags and the men in suits from the Devon FA, despite her protests at the prudish attitudes being shown and the lack of separate facilities. She was charged with bringing the game into disrepute, and it wasn't long before her Sundays lacked a footballing element. Be careful how you comment if you're going to.
I just won't even try.
You won't even try. Okay. And now moving on to managers sacked. Well, we have our 24th of the season. It's restarted in the new year. We're on our way. Today is Sunday the 9th. We're recording this obviously the day before, or in fact the evening before. And it's today that he got done. The Gillingham manager, Steve Evans, of course, Gillingham in the same league as Wycombe. He's been there 2.5 years. His winning streak, or losing streak, his winning record was 33% overall in his career. Problem is, Gillingham are 22nd in Division 1, League 1, with 18 points, the same as the teams in 23rd and 24th. they've only won 3 games out of 24. And of course, yesterday they lost 4-0 to Ipswich.
I'm surprised he didn't really get sacked beforehand, to be honest with you. If it's
Gave him
3
a
out
nice-
of 24.
Gave him a nice Christmas, didn't they?
Well, they gave him time, and that's what managers ask for, don't they?
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, yeah, he wasn't getting out of that hole, was he, really?
No.
With his, no, he wasn't getting out of that hole. Okay, moving on then. The Wycombe Wanderers Plus bit, not beer, but a group. How will I say this? I'm not quite sure, because it's Hypno 5E. It's supposed to make it look like Hypnos, but of course it isn't, because it's HYPNO 5E. Now, can I just say about this group, the place to find them is if you look up Bandcamp, the download, the what's it thingy you call it.
You're really good at words. App.
The app, that's right. I knew it was something like that. The app, and download Bandcamp, and you'll find tons of different music you can listen to. Not like Spotify, though. The bands themselves put the music up, and it's got every type of music you can possibly imagine. And then you listen to it for a few times, and then they encourage you to buy what you listen to if you want, or just go listen to something else. There's thousands upon thousands of albums forever going up. And I came across this one, Hypno 5E, and loved the album because I was listening to it because it was recommended through a magazine that I read, and I loved it. And I thought, I wonder how much that costs. And you press on the little button to see whether you want to download it onto your Bandcamp collection. And it was, how much do you fancy paying? You can pay penny if you wish and download the album. So you can be really nice and give them a bit more than a penny. I did, not a lot more than a penny. And I downloaded 2 of their albums because I really liked them. I did pay them a little bit, not as much as I would for a real album because I wouldn't have bought it. But I'm just saying that Bandcamp is worth it. And have a listen to Hypno 5E. Strange group. It's really heavy metal, so shouting a lot and screaming a lot with real, then the tug on the pull down feeling, sort of.
I wonder if the demographic who watches this show like heavy metal. So, don't know. Something tells me.
Yeah, but it's not just heavy metal. It goes through a number of little channels.
They don't just shout. They scream as well.
But he's letting out his emotion, Kieran. A bit
I'm
like
sure he is.
at a football match when I'm stood on the terraces crying and screaming and jumping up and down. It's the same whole thing. It's emotion, mate. And I tell you what, was my heart racing yesterday on the terraces. I said to Paul afterwards, did I enjoy that game? I'm not sure I enjoyed that game. And it was a strange one. It had everything. We'll discuss that in one moment. We'll make you wait for the excitement.
Oh.
Anyway, moving on to the FA Cup. It's the FA Cup period of time. So we have FA Cup questions for you about Liverpool in 2006. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
So here we go with Kieran's quiz time. There we go. Just like that. Right. Who did Liverpool beat 5-3 away in the 3rd round?
Luton. I think. Am I supposed to know these? Actually, are there any multiple choices? Or are you
There
just
were,
gonna
but
say-
that's right, Luton.
Oh, no, that's quite a famous one. Xabi
Was it?
Alonso scores from the halfway line. Yeah.
Good. Right. Who did Liverpool beat 2-1 away in the 4th round?
Is this just going to be who they beat in every round?
Yeah. To
2-1
start with.
away in the 4th round.
Don't look it
Yeah.
up. I can see you where your eyes are going.
No, I'm looking them
No
up, dude.
cheating.
Give me the options.
Bournemouth, Portsmouth, or Southampton?
Portsmouth.
It was Portsmouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come
One
on,
up
boys.
to Liverpool.
Speaking of Portsmouth, because obviously people know I live here.
Well,
I saw a group
people
of
got that.
there was a group of 3 lads on the high street today. They're about 10 years old, had a baguette in their hand, and whacked a lady around the head with it. And no one said a word. Like, it was too far away for me to say or do anything.
And these were
And I expected
10-year-old
someone else.
Portsmouth fans,
Yeah,
probably.
Well, I expected someone to do or say something, but everyone was so scared of the 10-year-olds that they just didn't say a word.
Dear, oh dear, oh dear.
It's a great
Portsmouth
city.
is a loving, caring place.
Yeah, come live here. It's great.
No, you must be joking, mate. Who did Liverpool beat 1-0 at home in the 5th round? United, Middlesbrough, or Millwall?
It's United. I knew that one.
Yeah.
Peter Crouch scored the winner. For anyone who cares.
Nobody cares. Nobody
probably
cares
not.
that we do this. It's just to make up time, really. Make you feel wanted. That's what it is.
Wow.
You're in your pajamas, aren't you?
Yeah, it's my dressing gown. Yeah.
You sad individual.
It's
Have you
9:30 on a Sunday.
have you put clothes on between last night and tonight?
I went to church this morning.
Oh, right, okay. What, in your pajamas?
No, mate, I dress up for church.
Do you?
I put jeans on.
Jeans.
No, not quite.
Right. Who did Liverpool beat 7-0 in the 6th round? Birmingham, Cardiff, or Stoke?
7-0.
Yeah. Not bad, eh?
It's either Birmingham or Stoke. Stoke.
What a shame. It was Birmingham.
Yeah.
And who did Liverpool beat 2-1 in the semi-final? Arsenal, Chelsea, or United? Well, it can't be United because that's what a stupid.
They're out.
Obviously, you're supposed to answer these all in. I'm not supposed to give the answers after each one. Well, okay. So Arsenal or Chelsea?
Chelsea.
It was Chelsea. So far you've got Penn. You've got
4 out of 5.
4 out of 5. Should we bother doing the other bit? Yeah,
it's up to you. It gives me more screen time and more talking time, so warrants me being here.
Keeping you up, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Round 13. Only one player has won Premier League titles with both City and United. Can you name the player?
Only one.
You're not allowed to take time.
Oh, Tevez.
It was Tevez.
Yeah, but people won't get bored if we get the right answers.
Only one Jamaican player has a Premier League winners medal. Can you name him? Oh. No. I can now because I just looked at the answer.
Well, yeah. Well, I saw your face. Like, oh.
Where's Morgan?
Is
the only Ecuadorian player to have a Premier League winners medal?
Valencia. Was he Ecuadorian?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. Valencia, very good. Which Scottish player has the most Premier League winners medals? You won't get this.
Has to be someone from United, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, very good. That's a good start, actually. So when I said you won't get this, you actually do stand a chance for now getting this.
I think it's a fullback of some respect. No, I can't think of it as.
That's not bad. It was Darren Fletcher.
Oh, I could have got that. Centre mid.
Yeah. And who are the two Republic of Ireland internationals that have won the Premier League the most times?
John O'Shea and don't know.
What a shame. It was Irwin and Keane.
Oh, silly goose.
Silly goose. Well, you've got 6 out of 10, so it's not too bad.
I should have got 8. Should have got 8.
That was the end of Kieran's quiz time. Okay, let's move on then. Let's move on. And so what we had at the weekend was one hell of a flipping game, wasn't it? There was even a good punch up at the end. Well, it wasn't that good, actually. A bit boring. Loads of little kiddies about the age of 20, about your age, messing around, really. They've probably never seen a football match before.
What, in the stand?
No, outside. They had about 2 attempts at it. It's a bit pathetic, really.
Why didn't you get involved?
Well, it wasn't good enough for me. I was decent. I mean, I just wish those people would bugger off. I don't know. Sort of not really. It's not really Wanderers' style, is it really?
Well,
we're hardly Millwall, are we? You know.
No. But we've said before that football is a place for some people to vent their anger, and there you go.
I mean, I'm surprised. I wonder whether they even went in to watch it, you know. But still, there you go. But apart from that, it had everything else. My goodness, what a game. What did you make of it?
The highlights were great. Can't say there were many.
You watch all of it.
So
you go into a Portsmouth pub and you say, "Oi, I'm a Wycombe fan."
Yeah,
can you please turn the TV on?
I'd get shot. There weren't many good goals. That's what I noticed from the highlights. Wycombe's first was deflected. The second, I have no idea why no one heads it apart from Vokes. The third is a bit scrappy. Their first is a Stockdale own goal, I assume. It looked it on the highlights.
Yeah.
The second, but actually that's the thing that I imagine you will talk about, is Grimmer lets 2 crosses come in for their first 2 goals. Which he just didn't. He was so far away from the bloke that he didn't have a chance to even block it. And their third only went in because of a bobble on the pitch. That's what it looked like, anyway.
No, that's correct. That's exactly it.
I know the expected goals for both of the teams was pretty much 3.
Yeah,
but it was a bit
2.71 or something.
Yeah, I imagine in between it was a flipping exciting game as well. It looked like they had hatful of chances. It looked like we were on top for a bit of it. So as an advertisement for League One, I mean, it looks fantastic. But
well, I would go. I mean, I could sort of jump around the game a little bit and then come back to the beginning. The jumping around the game is, you're right, Grimmer gave him so much room. It's just so much room. It was pathetic. He could never block anything. He couldn't stop anything going down the left of him, the right of him, over the top of him. I mean, that player had nothing slowing him down or stopping him for either cross. No. The Wycombe need a replacement down that side. That is their weak point. They have had it down there. Any team that watched that game would think, well, we know which way we're getting to the goal, don't we?
Well, I imagine the idea that Grimmer has in his mind for both of those, that the bloke is going to take him on, because otherwise he wouldn't stand that far away. And obviously doesn't do enough to block either cross. In saying that, he even says it in his tweet. For Maury, the new centre-back who's young, is only... that could be completely wrong with his name. But he said in his tweet, like, great game and all that. but I was rubbish. And like, bless him, because he is young, and like, for a couple of goals he may have been able to do a little bit more, but yeah, he could have done a little bit more to fought the first header at least, maybe the second, and maybe even the third. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh, but for one of them at least.
Joseph Farino,
yeah.
Well,
I mean, he was kind of thrown in the deep end because he was up against a 6 foot whatever big striker, so it's kind
he's
of
a top
harsh,
goal scorer in the division.
Yeah, so it may have been a bit harsh, but a couple of them you would have liked to have seen a little bit more than trying to stop him.
Okay. And the other thing I've got to bring up is the subject of I looked at a lot of their comments after the game, all their fans sort of stuff that they wrote up, and they kept on about how Wycombe's second goal should never have stood, and that it was all down to cheating and they'd been robbed. So we'll start right at the beginning and work our way through. Okay, right at the beginning was Wycombe started slowly again. I think we need to start with a 5 versus 5 football match 10 minutes before the game starts. I think we need to start running around that football pitch and be sort of got our energy up before kickoff. The training before kickoff isn't working. We're letting goals in the first 5 minutes. They're not ready to go, are they?
Didn't know you were a coach.
I'm not, but surely that's fairly obvious that they are Wycombe. When I'm standing there and I am thinking, when the ball first gets touched and kicked, the referee goes, and off we go, and I'm thinking, now just get through the first 5 minutes. Just get through the first 5. Damn it, we're 1-0 behind already. Now, if I am worried about the first 5 minutes, what can they do to change the first 5 minutes?
I mean, obviously, warm up and the intensity of the warm up could well be a bit higher than it is. But then the warm up that Wycombe do is absolutely no different to the warm up that I watched Liverpool do at Anfield. It was absolutely, they do their stretches and all that to begin with, kick the ball about a bit. Then they do a rondo or two for 10, 15 minutes, and then they do some shooting. And it's exactly the same. Wycombe do exactly the same. So, but then I've always never understood why they teams take a long time between kickoff and when they end their warm up. It's a good 15 minutes, and in that time, the intensity is going to drop obviously massively because you probably just sat there getting changed in the dressing room.
Yeah,
and obviously for Wycombe players, it's not a good thing because they start off slow.
I wonder why.
Teams commonly do, though, don't they?
What can we do? What can Ainsworth do? Because that's not the first time, is it?
I don't know. I mean, he's the coach who gets paid an awful lot of money. He should probably have an idea of some sort.
Well, he's got to look into that. And if that means they go out 5 minutes before, are they allowed to be on the pitch before the referee and all that stuff?
No.
Are they allowed to? They're not.
No, of course not.
So they should run in and then turn around and run back out again.
So we'll just have less time in the changing room. And maybe I mean, sometimes teams put out a line of cones, don't they? Just before kickoff and do a few drills through there. So maybe we should do that as well. Instead
of having a huddle, maybe they should be running.
Potentially. But then there's perks and cons to all of these things. So I don't know. Maybe they need to have like a energy drink or something. Or Red Bull.
Yeah. So that first 3-4 minutes, they score. They score because Grimmer is something like about 4 foot away from him.
enough, yeah.
Enough that he's backing off. He's not slowing him down one iota. So, which is surely the point. He's supposed to be there. If he's not going to tackle him, he's supposed to be slowing him down and blocking off his opportunities of what he's going to do. Being 4 foot away, and backing away as fast as that player is running with the ball means he might as well not even be there. Is that right? Would that be that's fair?
Not quite, but
he's not
not
making
quite,
a blind bit of difference.
No, he is making a difference, but he does have to do a bit more. In that sense, his if he's going to do the thing where he's 4 foot away, he has to be a bit closer to the touchline. It sounds very obvious, but the line of direction that the ball goes in, he has to be closer towards where it's likely to go, because the player curls it round Grimmer.
But the players always have a choice of which way to go round Grimmer, because it gives them both sides. And so you still don't know where the ball's coming. Within
the point is that Grimmer covered the going back inside, but obviously when you've got big 6'4" striker against new centre back, you're going to want to cover the outside, so it's reduce the chance of him putting in the cross and make him go out and let the centre mids deal with people on the edge of the box.
And the truth is, Grimmer can't do this on his own. He needed help because he ain't good enough.
Well, you say this, but 2 seasons ago when we went up from the Championship, he was excellent. And
he hasn't played a ton.
I think you saying we need a new right back is a bit of a stretch. Like, I've never been a fan of, if someone's not playing well, you instantly go and just buy another one. We're not Man City, if you haven't worked out.
Or Newcastle. Go straight out there and get the player to help you win a game against Cambridge, yeah?
Yeah, and so the idea that we instantly just going to get one, for one, is unrealistic. But 2, if he can find the form in which he had before, then there's no reason why he still can't be in this team, in my opinion.
Okay. The ball comes in, and we talk about this. The guy that's really disappointed, Farino, with his sort of defending in this case. I did think he wasn't very good with that goal. The honest truth is, I didn't think he was very good with that goal, and I thought I was straight away wondering, well, where's Tafazoli? I'm sure he would have stopped that, and that was my first thought of the game when that ball went in the net. Was Grimmer's himself? Where's Tafazoli? That might have prevented that. And I was thinking that striker of theirs, Stewart, I was thinking we needed somebody like Tafazoli, strong, tall, wins everything in that area. I was wondering why he wasn't on the pitch, in all honesty.
Obviously because we didn't have the depth, and I'm assuming Tafazoli is injured. I don't know.
He was on the bench. That's all I know. He was on the bench.
Maybe he was just coming back. But yeah, Stewart's not the tallest, and Farino's not the tallest, and so you're instantly at a disadvantage.
Well, Farino isn't a tough.
Quite honestly, if you're smaller and of inexperience, you are going to get found out against
by somebody that
big bad striker in League One.
Yeah, he's not big, but he's tall and he is very, very good.
He's very decent.
But then moving on, I'd also say, I have to keep looking at his name. I also have to say Firmino from that point on, I thought was superb.
Mm.
I thought he did everything he could in keeping that player down. He worked on him. I mean, the corners, etc. It was his job, and I thought he did awfully well, actually. I'm surprised hearing him say he was disappointed with himself, because I don't think he should have been, really. Maybe the first one, but the cross shouldn't have come in the first place. But I thought Firmino actually deserved a good pat on the back for that game. You can easily forget we are not equal to Sunderland.
No.
And that's not entirely fair, because you can't keep putting yourself down. I mean, we were in the Championship last year, not them. But we were playing Sunderland, and they are one of the best.
Yeah.
And they walked away from Adams Park with the same amount of points as we did again. And I think they went home disappointed, because they were expecting to smack us, and they didn't again. So
I mean, they were expecting to smack us,
he
but
did well. I think he did well.
Mm.
So from that point on, then we're 1-0 down. The game was fast. The game went one end to the other. I was very surprised watching on Quest when they discussed you've got two different ways of playing football. Again, we're going down this, Wycombe just whack it up the front stuff. What a load of rubbish. We played excellent football. I don't know what, if you look at the stats, what's interesting about all this passing that they all reckon we don't do, okay, the pass accuracy actually we were roughly the same as them, okay. Accurate passes, I've got 223 for them, 164 for us. So we didn't pass the ball so much up, but they had twice as many in their own half as Wycombe. But in the opposition's half, Wycombe had 124, they had 127. We passed the ball in their half as much as they did in ours. So explain to me why we're the long ball.
What are you having a go at me for?
No, I just get annoyed with programs like Quest and comments by opposition fans saying about, the different style. No, we pass the ball around in their half as much as they did in ours. Explain to me the difference. And in fact, if you look at shots on target, we had 8, they had 9 in the 6-yard box. In the 18-yard box, and outside we had 3, they had 5. So in fact, they took more goals shooting from outside the box than we did. I mean, I'm sorry. I just think I just think that whole thing of the way Wycombe play, I think is now it's a load of crap. Actually, I think that's not the case anymore. Anyway, so moving on to Wycombe's first goal.
We can't go through every single goal, can we?
No. Wycombe's first goal, I'm going to say Mehmeti, brilliant, wasn't he?
Hello.
He was good. They couldn't keep hold of him. They didn't know what to do with him. He just kept popping up all over the pitch, and they were terrified of taking him down in the box. Wycombe's second goal, there was a lot of chit-chat about how lucky we were to get away with it. That's what their fans said, and Quest almost pointed it out. Can you look at it on your screen?
I've seen it, and what happens is their player pushes into our player, who pushes into their goalkeeper.
Yeah, I want to make that pretty clear. It had nothing to do with us blocking the goalkeeper. They pushed our player into their goalkeeper and then wanted a free kick. And also, if you look,
it's not a bad tactic, to be fair. Like, normally it works when you do that.
Also, if you look on the back post, you will see where one of their players has hold of one of ours and virtually rips his shirt off in pulling him away. And nobody mentioned that. They actually had his shirt up here where they were pulling him like that and pulling him down. But nobody mentioned it was a penalty either. Even if the ball hadn't gone in the net, it was a penalty. But have a look. So after the programme, have a look again and you'll see that I'm dead right. But nobody actually mentioned that. And also the other thing to mention is at one point they put the ball in for a corner and it was handball. And not seen that in the highlights at all, and nor was it mentioned. But I know that's what happened. One of their players actually put their arm right up straight and the ball hit their arm and went out the box. And he'd got a player in front and a player behind, and so it wasn't easily seen. But I know that's what happened. And one of Wycombe's players actually shouted at the referee, penalty. But of course, that was, I think that was one of our defenders who had to go quickly running back because Sunderland made a break. And so it just got past. It just disappeared, that whole thing. It wasn't. If the ball had gone off for a throw-in straight away, there would have been a big argument about that.
So we need VAR, mate.
Oh, yeah, we need VAR for that, don't we? So that was Wycombe's second goal. Who deserved to win? I mean, their second goal, of course, was a gain, wasn't it? And the third one, and oh boy, did my head drop. Oh, no, I don't want to walk out of here with the Sunderland fans having lost this game. And guess who pops up? They gave him man of the match.
It's because of his clearance.
Because of his clearance, yeah. Could have given that to quite a few people. Again, Mr. Goalkeeper was brilliant. He was. I mean, okay, he let the one that hit his back went in. He made some pretty great saves. Their goal, I have to say, I think Wycombe did scrape it. And I'll say that because although chances were very similar, the difference was their chances, Wycombe's goalkeeper had to save. Theirs didn't. And so based on that, you'd have to say we got away with it. That their goalkeeper, I don't remember having to see him do incredible saves to stop the ball going in the top corner. It never was like that, even though Wycombe had their chances. And the other thing worth mentioning was that two of Wycombe's goals were from corners, weren't they?
Yeah.
And interestingly, Jacobson scoring from one of those corners, he wasn't taking it.
No, I had no idea why he was there, to be honest with you.
He wasn't, but I wondered why he wasn't taking the corners.
We haven't scored that many from corners, have we, recently?
No, we haven't, and I guess that's why. I don't know, but he didn't take any corner, and I thought that was interesting. Sunderland, well, doing all right, really, aren't they? But their fans were really peed off because they're expecting to get in that top two. Playoffs is a failure for them, and they needed those points because if you look at the table, have you got that there?
I can do. Blah, 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 blah.
Blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
Got it?
Mm-hmm.
Look at Wigan.
Yeah.
Look how many games they've got in hand.
They should get into that top two.
it's theirs, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Sunderland aren't going to do it, are they?
You said that they're not really far behind Rotherham. I mean, they are on the same points, and Rotherham have a game in hand. Rotherham could easily lose that game or draw that game, and they're only a point behind. Wigan should theoretically go on and go top, but I mean, Sunderland will drop into third. Yeah. I mean, there's a couple below the playoffs that are like lingering around and could well jump in.
Yeah, well, that is Sheffield Wednesday, Portsmouth, and Milton Keynes.
Yeah,
are the dodgy ones, aren't they?
Mm.
Milton Keynes only picked up a draw. Portsmouth, I don't think, didn't play. And I can't remember about Sheffield Wednesday. But, of course, Wigan didn't play. I think they were supposed to be playing Portsmouth. So they're four games behind now. And the interesting thing is they've actually put in a request, was it today or yesterday, asking for the EFL League to go on extra weeks to fit their games in. So they want to change the date at the end, and they're hoping that all the managers will back them with that. I hope they don't, because they won't do it. Because can you imagine rearranging that whole thing just for Wigan?
Because that's not just rearranging Wigan, that's rearranging League Two, League One, and the Championship, because they will do it on separate occasions.
Yeah.
So that cocks up far too much for them to be able to do that. They're not going to do it.
No, I don't think they'll do it either. So, but Wigan are going to have to fit in an awful lot of games in a very small area. They only need to lose the top player to be bought in this January window, and to get another one that gets a big injury and out for a month, and it will be enough to really mess them up. And that's their problem, is they are going to be more prone to problems than anybody else because of that 4-game difference. I wonder whether the 4 games behind, whether that's actually, I would be interested to know how many points that's going to end up being. And I don't think, I mean, normally you would expect them to get 8 points out of those 4 games. I wonder whether those games in hand are going to be a problem to them. That's why I hope Wycombe could have won that game.
Get a bit of space.
Yeah, we're 6 points above Milton Keynes. Okay, we've played a game more than, but I'd rather the games. And Portsmouth, of course, 2 games behind Wycombe and could get 3 points behind. It's a little bit dodgy down there, isn't it?
It is tight, but we've got all the cup competitions out of the way, haven't we? Which could
look on the bonus side, we've lost. Yeah.
Well, in the sense we've got the games that really Gareth doesn't care about out of the way, and so therefore hopefully can spend a bit more time on the other games.
I'm certainly not looking at catching Sunderland.
Oh no.
Or Wigan. No. I mean, I know it's only 4 points behind Sunderland and 4 points behind Rotherham.
It's realistically we are in the race for 4th, really. Being 4th or 5th is really the race we're in for. It would be very disappointing if we didn't get the playoffs, being halfway through the season and being in a very good position. But I mean, that is really the priority. Not get top 2. Like, there are too many good teams. Wigan and Rotherham and Sunderland should easily fight that out.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, the fixtures we've got coming up. We've got Bolton away on Tuesday. And then we've got Oxford at home. Then it's Morecambe away, Milton Keynes at home. And that's our January. The Oxford and Milton Keynes are massive, aren't they?
Yeah, both at home.
Yeah.
So, yeah, needs results from those.
We do. They're the two, aren't they? Oxford have lost one of their main players, injured, and also another one of their main players got sent off on Saturday, so they'll be missing those two. So Oxford, we've got to beat Oxford and Milton Keynes. So is that it on Wycombe and that game?
Yeah.
Well, just I suppose the thing to say, having listened to all that the Sunderland chit chat and stuff, is, boy, can you see things differently when you're so biased. Am I that biased?
Of course you are.
Not as biased, surely. I hope not.
Don't know.
Anyway. Yeah. Well, I don't think so. I
mean, there's times when you're like, when you shout for things and then say, yeah, it's definitely not our free kick or whatever. So.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. I did just to comment on having done that referee linesman thing, just to mention that the poor linesman on where I was stood behind the goal and the guy on the left, the linesman on the left, he was rubbish, absolutely rubbish, and he really was. I mean, luckily enough, none of it really counted in the end, but he was miles behind any of the play. He didn't see when the ball ran off. He didn't see offsides. He didn't see whose ball it was. He was sort of, you're thinking, that's offside. And you look and you realise he's still up that end of the pitch and he hadn't got back yet. And you're thinking, well, no wonder he isn't given it. He can't see it. And he was desperate. And the other thing to say was that this ref, I don't think he was the best ref we've ever seen, in all honesty. But I thought the funny part was when the crowd started singing, "You're a blah, 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 ref." And he looked up, smiled, and I thought he was going to start singing along. You could see he thought he rather enjoyed that. That was quite amusing. Okay.
Well, they've got no points, have they, these referees? So that's why they're reffing our game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're trying to. They're either trying to move up the scale or they're dropping like flies because they're so bad. I've got a sneaking suspicion you can tell when one is one and one is the other. Moving on. Kieran.
What?
AFCON. The African Cup of Nations.
Stupid tournament.
What?
I shouldn't say that, but it's because it's in January. That's
normally
why it's
it won't be. Normally it's June, July. Now, can I just say about this? Everybody, no, not everybody. I've just watched the first two games. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I'm advertising AFCON to anybody out there. Most of the games on Sky, 10 games I will be on the BBC, but let me just take how important, how big is AFCON, right? Not like Mr. Klopp thinks. Let's have a look at how big AFCON is.
It's not what he said.
I know it wasn't what he said. It was taken. I know it didn't. Right. First, Let's take a look at the surface area of the planet, shall we? Africa is huge. It's 11.7 meters. Sorry.
Don't think so.
11.7 million square miles. It's 3 times bigger than Europe. It could hold USA, India, and China with space to spare. 20% of the Earth's landmass is Africa.
Didn't realize you were a geography teacher.
How big is AFCON? Africa, though, is young. Its borders, if you were to take a look from up here at the planet and where all the countries are, you will see all these squiggly lines that make up different countries in Europe and stuff like that. And the reason for that is because it goes round mountains, and I'll have this area and you put a fence down and this is England, keep away you horrible Scottish people, and you go up and down and round this hill and round that one. Africa isn't like that. Africa is squares because it was owned by France, who drew a line, and we drew a line saying it's ours, and Spain said we'll have that bit, and it's just made up in square lines of countries. But some of those countries are really, really young. Ghana has only been around for 65 years. There's 54 countries in Africa, 2,000 different languages, and African people take up 16% of the population of the world. How big is AFCON, for goodness sake? Massive. It's massive. Why is nobody interested in the football?
You can answer that, can't you? Because they haven't had the financial resource to get better at football.
But they're getting there, aren't they?
But they're getting there, as multiple have shown. Somebody
asked the West Ham striker, Sebastian Haller. They asked him...
Who now plays for Ajax.
Yeah, now plays for Ajax. But they asked him, would you rather stay and fight for your real team, your employees, and try and win the trophy of, in your home place? Or would you rather go and have a game for Ivory Coast? And he said that question shows complete disrespect to Africa. Would you ask a European, do they want to play for England or not bother? Of course, I want to play for Ivory Coast. And of course, I'm going to AFCON. And I think dead right.
It's same as Mane said that he'd give up all of his trophies he's won with Liverpool and whoever else he's played for in a trade for winning AFCON. He'd give it all up just to win that, which obviously shows.
Yeah, and I tell you, if you were to watch some of the games, I've seen 2 only, and if you were to watch those games, you would see actually how much they want to win it as well. There is a few problems this year. One obviously is COVID, and I'll read you something about that in just 1 second, having got out some of this bit of information. COVID has caused quite a lot of disruption in Cameroon, where it's being held. It's not called a civil war, but there's enough people dying that it could be called a civil war out there. There's bombs going off, which doesn't make it the safest place to travel. And of course, the other problem with it is it disrupts the Premier League. And in the end, that is a problem because teams such as Liverpool do pay those players a wage to work. I mean, I go to work for that youth club as the person in charge and I do all the work at home. And if somebody says, "Oh, will you come and work here for nothing on a Wednesday evening?" and I'll say, "Yeah, I'll go to do that," and then phone up the chairman and say, "Sorry, we're shutting Holmer Green Youth Club down because I'm doing something for nothing." You can see the problem that causes, okay? But their attitude is their attitude, and I will mention that in a sec. We go in order. The competition, like I say, is 65 years old. It's held every 2 years. This is the 33rd year. There's been 14 different winners. Egypt have won 7 times. The competition is different to European competition and world competition. It's got tons of surprises. It's a little bit more out there, and they're different. They're different rhythms to the game and different tactics and different styles. The competition is a real joy to watch. If you like fresh air football, something that sort of, not as sort of heavy as Premier League, and like something a little bit more entertaining, I have to say this is it. There's enough that just these couple of little stories, okay, and then I'll tell you about the game I just saw. 2 games just saw. First of all, here's one. Traore from Aston Villa has put in a complaint because in a statement it said that he believes there are legitimate reasons to doubt the reliability of the results of tests which clearly targeted major players for COVID. So they used different types of tests on the players of one team before Cameroon played them, and found that their 5 best players had COVID, which, of course, when they did the real test, because they complained, found out they hadn't at all. So there was that. So there's a little worry of a few cheatings going on out there. The second is the witchcraft investigations. Again, one team who were playing Cameroon today also found a dead bat on the pitch and believe it's Cameroon using witchcraft so that they lose the match. It's not the first time. There's lots of witchcraft that is people are suggesting happen that ruins their chances of winning, and it is really quite entertaining. I have to say, you could write a book on it. The other is in 2015, when 2 teams were drawn in the table to see who went through into the next round. They just drew lots. And one team went through and one team didn't. It's a bit like that. It's a bit Sunday afternoon football competition. Is not so much ties and jackets and serious business. It's a little bit different, okay? As for the total football I've just watched, all I can say is I reckon there would have been a good 6 players sent off from both teams instead of just one. The tackles going in were horrific. One guy went in and his foot was about 3 foot in the air. And as he went in, he got the guy in the balls and then twisted down as he went down and knocked the guy over. He wasn't even booked. The goalkeeping, that they come running out and smack over he goes. There was a player had to be taken off where they'd caught him in his neck and knocked him down, and they had to put him on one of these things and carry him off. It wasn't even a free kick. I'll tell you, it is worth watching. It is entertaining. It is so fast. I mean,
Are we saying that the refereeing is a little bit sus?
No, it's just a different. It's back a bit from ours.
Well, yeah, obviously,
They're
a little bit.
And you touch the player and over they go and they're dead, or red card because he touched him. This is a little bit more.
Yeah, but I mean, it sounds like for the two situations you just described, that there probably should have been a red card.
They probably should, those two.
But
to
be fair,
it's 50-50 players going in at 50 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Is a lot of it.
And you saying it's fast paced. I remember my experience, having watched it previously, was that it was always a bit slower. So if it has gone faster than
I think
all
this
good.
was fast.
Yeah.
I thought this was fast. Goalkeeping is entertaining.
Well, I mean, the Onana, the one who cocked up for Burkina Faso's goal, plays for Ajax and is supposed to be quite good. So it's a bit.
I think the other thing I'd say is looking, when I said about they use different formations and different styles and tactics, I mean, Cameroon obviously was the first game when they played. I was trying to work out the formation, and I'm sure they only had two at the back because nobody else ever seemed to come back. I'm sure they played with a lineup as something like about 2-5-3 or something. I mean, it was mad. Very good. I think it will be a shame, and I think you will miss it if you don't watch some of it. Just to say, if anybody chooses to watch it, 54 games, I think. It's all on Sky. Most of the games are 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 7 o'clock. In our time, that is. And there are 10 games on the BBC. We know the finals on BBC, 2 semis, 2 quarterfinals, and the rest at different times. I think there's one on Tuesday on the BBC. I would recommend people watch it. There are the 3 strongest teams. Funnily enough, doesn't include Egypt. It's Algeria, who are the defending champions. They've had a 34-game non-losing run. Senegal is clearly the strongest team on paper, but they've had to get a sports psychologist in to help them get over the mental block of not winning it.
They've also all got COVID.
And they've also all got COVID. And Cameroon, they haven't actually lost in Cameroon since 1973.
Sick.
I know, it's pretty mad. And they won again today, can I just say. But if you want to have a look at sort of a few dark horses in there, Mali, Morocco, Nigeria and Egypt, but Nigeria and Egypt are very thin in midfield, but we know who plays for Egypt, don't we? Don't we?
I assume people would know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, today we've had Cape Verde beat Ethiopia 1-0 in Group A. That was interesting. Ethiopia had a player sent off after 15 minutes, and I thought Ethiopia were a far better team. And I thought they were you couldn't tell they were a player down. They didn't change anything like, sort of trying to get a goal and sneak all back. It was so far, you would never tell they hadn't got 11 players on the pitch. I felt a little bit sorry for them not to win that game. They played awfully well. And the other one was Cameroon played Burkina Faso. And I've never heard of half of these countries, I have to be honest. I didn't know they even existed. Cameroon's 2 goals came from their main striker.
Penalties.
And they were both penalties, yeah. Yeah, they got away with that. Really, I thought they got away with that one a bit. But yeah, so I recommend people having a look. There are 40 Premier League players over there. And then, of course, a number from the Championship, etc., and all the way down. But there's 40 Premier League players out there. So have a look, people. I'd recommend. It's a breath of fresh air. Football is the way I would word it. Okay. Games, FA Cup. Any you want to talk about?
Cambridge beating Newcastle was funny.
Funny.
Quite honestly, the only reason that Cambridge won was because their keeper had an absolute madness. And
Didn't
saved
watch that.
everything.
I didn't see that one.
He saved everything that Newcastle threw at him, and on another day, Newcastle would have won 4-1. It's just a bit of a shame that they didn't. The goal that Cambridge scored was classically crappy, and I don't think that goes down well for Eddie. Unfortunately,
Eddie,
I think
he's having a rough time.
He is, bless him. But apparently Newcastle are very close to signing. No, they're not now, are they? Luca Dean from Everton was going to go to Newcastle, but now looks like he's going to Aston Villa to join up with Steve. Speaking of which, Coutinho's gone to Aston Villa.
Yes,
that's a bit
mad. On loan.
This is the thing. Like, Aston Villa now have pulling power because of Gerrard.
Yes,
like having Smith before doesn't really entice you to go there, whereas you get to work under Gerrard. It just adds quite a bit of oomph, doesn't it?
It does.
I hope he does well, Coutinho, because I feel sorry for him, to be honest with you. Like, mentally, like, you can't be in a good place if you go for 140 mil and then not do anything at Barcelona for 3 years. Like, it can't be fun. So I hope he does well at Aston Villa. Barrow 4, Barnsley 5 was an incredible game. If you saw the highlights of that,
I sort of picked up bits and pieces. It was on final score, and you saw the goals going in both ways. Barrow had a man sent off in the first half, and they went on to score 4 in the second half. Yeah, it was probably right that they went.
Oh, they didn't deserve to go through. No, not at all. But it was very insane, to say the least. Kidderminster beating Reading, pretty big. Kidderminster in
Reading aren't doing very well either, though. They're another
North.
Newcastle, aren't they? In that, I know they're not right down the bottom there, but if you're going to stand a chance, that was it. Did you just have interest? Did you watch them take the balls out of the hat today after the Arsenal game or whatever, but half time? No. I'm sure they did it wrong. I'm sure he pulled out a ball 15 and said 16. And so the person reading the team read out the number 15. So ignored what he said.
Are you saying that it's just your eyesight can be a bit skew-with sometimes?
Yeah, but I'm sure he pulled out the 16.
Twitter will tell me.
Oh, sorry, the 15.
Twitter doesn't suggest anything.
Oh, maybe I got that wrong then.
So it's because people would have noticed that. Like, it wouldn't have just been you.
Okay.
Twitter is normally a reliable source. No one has said that.
Okay.
Shall I look up ball 15?
Yeah, you want to be careful what you tap into that. So.
Oh, that was not what I wanted to see. Yeah, okay.
Exactly. Exactly. I remember taking a photograph the other day.
Gee whiz.
Right, Chelsea 5, Chesterfield 1. Yeah, well, that was a boring. Who wanted to watch that? Do you know, I had a choice of what to watch, because, of course, you get all the BBC I or whatever. And I thought the most interesting was going to be the Hull Everton. And I was right. Hull Everton was a really good game, and Everton, I would have again felt sorry for our friend at Everton, but he's got to go, and he's going to be.
Oh,
out.
yeah.
But it's a question of when. What's he hanging on for?
Yeah, I can't believe that the owners really think he's going to change it around at any point.
Hull came close. It was 3-2 in extra time. So
Everton's third goal was rubbish as well. It was a shot from Townsend from very far out, and the keeper didn't really sort himself out.
That's right.
Speaking of not sorting themselves out, Arsenal, they lost to Nottingham Forest.
I know.
Because it's just Arsenal and that's what they do.
They had about 5 or 6 of their first team playing, I think.
Yeah.
But I know I moan about the commentary all the time, but it was our old Mr. Moron from Scotland. Mook. It's going to be Mook, whatever it is.
I'm not sure. Scottish commentator.
McCoy.
No. Oh, he's good. Ali McCoy. He's
he
good.
Just spent the whole time putting Arsenal down.
Yeah, because they're rubbish.
But maybe every time Arsenal did a bad pass, it was, like the end of the world. And then Nottingham Forest would do a bad pass and they didn't totally ignore it. And I just thought, it's so, all this wonderful FA Cup sort of, but crap Arsenal. Arsenal are awful. Don't know what Arsenal think they're doing. Arsenal are rubbish. They got to sort themselves out. I mean, it's, in the end, are Arsenal really bothered? What are they more likely to win? The FA Cup or that European Cup they're going for? They're in the quarterfinals, aren't they?
Last 32. Probably the FA Cup.
You think with all the other teams that are knocking around that FA Cup, like Liverpool, Manchester City, Chelsea.
Yeah, but they can easily all get knocked out by a bog standard Premier League team. It's as long as Arsenal don't come up against any of them.
All right. Well, it's good to see that Wigan and Plymouth are still in there, because that messes them up for us, doesn't it? Because they both won. Wigan won 3-2 against Blackburn, and Plymouth beat Birmingham 1-0 in extra time, which is excellent. The more extra time these teams are getting, the better is for us. I think really that's probably about it. Today,
Liverpool and Spurs have survived scares, but it was nothing really to worry about.
No. I mean, Kane scored. I mean, incredible.
Somehow.
Back to his best.
Thank goodness.
I think that's really about it. Felt a bit sorry for Leeds again. They're just lacking everything, aren't they?
Yeah, I think they do need to have a change manager at some point, unfortunately.
Well, he's been there longer than he's ever been anywhere else.
Well, this is it. Yeah, it's not that he's a bad manager or anything. It's just he lacks towards the end of his tenure, doesn't he?
He does,
and it just doesn't look like it's going anywhere.
Well, hardly surprising if you actually look at his looking down his list of first team players on the injury bench. You've got Cresswell. He's out until early February. Shackleton, Achilles tendon. He's out. Gerhardt, he's out till early February. Phillips is out until March. Cooper's out until March. Bamford, he's got a problem with his hamstring. Rodrigo, early February. Roberts, early February. So March, we find out what that team is going to be like. He's got all of his first team are actually on the bench, ill or dead. Hasn't got a first team.
Yeah, they're going to struggle. They are going to struggle. They'll have enough to stay up, but they will struggle in terms of doing any of that.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else you want to say?
There was a game in Qatar today in which a player has a heart attack. And so that's raised concerns about holding the World Cup in Qatar during their summer.
Oh, that's taken a while to get to worry anybody.
I know.
Bit flipping obvious, isn't it?
Wasn't it? Yeah, you would have thought, but I mean, no one else has. I mean, FIFA have just been like, "Oh, it's just a heart attack. Just rub it under the carpet. He'll be fine."
A fully fit footballer has a heart attack because of the heat. You know, England don't stand a chance, don't you?
Well, because of the heat, yeah.
We're not used to that. How are we going to play in that heat?
Might give the African countries more of a chance, to be fair.
Don't give Iceland much hope, but...
No, they're stuffed. I'm not even sure they're in it.
No.
Not sure they got
Wales or
qualified.
Scotland. I mean, one of those is going, and they're only used to rain. So, you know... So yeah, I think you can forget England out there just because of the weather conditions.
It's going to be more of a political World Cup than it is an actual football World Cup, isn't it? It's going to be silly.
Well, you know what to do. Watch
Ignore
AFCON instead, and have a much more entertaining.
Probably.
So get down the pub, guys, and watch it.
Will do, fella.
Yeah, you get down there at 1 o'clock, and then you can leave at 9. Okay, we'll say goodbye, and we'll be back next week, and with a lot of different topics. I will look something up. There was an interview with a 13-year-old boy who wants to be a referee, and he had an interview with a top referee, asked him lots of questions, and the answers are very entertaining because the lad asked him straight questions about who's the worst footballer and the rudest footballer you've ever had to referee and things like that, and it got all the answers. Very entertaining. And if anybody has any topics they would like us to look at, I would be quite happy to take a look. The other thing I want to look at is the idea of playing a 4-2-2-2 system, which Chelsea and a number
Man
of
United
and United.
Chelsea don't do it.
Not yet. No, they don't, do they? It's
Man United do.
Yeah. And I'll have a quick look at seeing what that actually really means and whether it does actually mean anything or it's trying to be just a bit too smart. Okay. So with that, Kieran, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
And I'll say goodbye. Goodbye.